for some digital magic to help you through your week? The Kingdom Report is here for you, covering the latest Disneyland and Disney World news, experiences, and events. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Kingdom Report Live so you never miss an update. And drop a subscribe on the Kingdom Report YouTube channel for new videos every week. Don't miss out. Join this growing community of theme park fans as we aim to connect you to more of what makes you happy. For more information, visit KingdomReportLive.com. And now, back to the magic.
Disney News Talk Live time. It is so great to be with you. Hello, friends. Wait for the Kingdom Report, hanging out, bringing you all the latest Disney Parks news. Share with me, friends. If you are coming to us from around the world, we would love to know. If you are in a international spot, if you are on another continent, I would love to know where you are listening to us from. Even if you're here domestically in the United States, would love to know also where you are coming to us from. Share with us in the chat exactly where you are tuning in from and what brings you to Disney parks. Why you enjoy the magic of Disneyland or Walt Disney World. Or if you're international, exactly what international park you enjoy as well. That would also be very helpful. Today, have so much to talk about. There are a lot of stories out there, a lot of things going on right now from coast to coast, so we are going to touch on so much happening. This show, though, is dedicated to all of you and your ability to share your feedback, your ability to weigh in on all of the topics, typically on Kingdom Report Live, where you get to see all of us in studio talking about things. That is something where it's all centered around our takes, our opinions, our thoughts on the subjects of the day. I really like this show because it's dedicated to what you think and ultimately what you're experiencing out there, what you're going through when it comes to Walt Disney World and Disneyland, and your planning, your plotting, all of the things that you have to deal with when you go on vacation, and all the things that you have to spend money on in addition to that. So again, very much a guest-focused show where you are the guest for Disney News Talk Live. If you've never joined us before, it is all about you and your thoughts. So throughout our stories today, throughout our various topics, please weigh in. Please share exactly what's on your mind. And we love to present your comments here on air and definitely get your feedback on whatever the topics of the day are. I'm sure you've seen, based on the headline for this video, we are going to be talking about Magic Keys. Yes, the Magic Key Annual Pass program continues to create headaches, and we are seeing individuals that are even, high-profile folks that are even coming out and saying, maybe this pass isn't for me after all. Maybe this isn't something that I need to be involved with. Maybe I need to back off when it comes to the Magic Key program. So again, we'll be getting into the nightmare scenario that unfolded here this past week and that Disney was caught up in and has subsequently fixed. So we'll be talking about that here. Also, lots of Christmas news when it comes to the Disneyland Resort. So tons of Christmas stories to touch on, which of course is my favorite time of year. So cheers to the holidays. Can't wait to dive in, as well as pre-pandemic crowds starting to get closer to that pre-pandemic level at Disneyland. Also, vaccine mandates in the state of California and exactly what that means when it comes to all of the theme parks in California from county to county. Things are very different right now, and it could impact your trip, so we will definitely touch on that. In addition to that, the Genie Plus service, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, Disney broke this news here about 24 hours ago. This Genie Plus thing, oh man, it's about to transform everything, I think. It's about to change our experience entirely, and we are about to embark on a whole new frontier when it comes to the Disney theme parks and the way we experience them. So we will be touching on that also from Disneyland to Walt Disney World. So they are very different, right? The Genie Plus services are going to offer up different things depending on the parks, and obviously the parks offer different things themselves, so it's going to have to adapt to the park. So we're going to be diving into that as well. In addition to that, lots of entertainment coming back to Walt Disney World. I feel like every time we meet for Disney News Talk Live, you hear that we are in fact experiencing more entertainment coming back each time we discuss these news stories and topics, which is great because that shows tremendous progress in bringing shows, entertainment, character experiences back, all things that we have been looking forward to. Jumping back over to our comments section, and I asked where you all are tuning in from, and everybody is weighing in, sharing exactly where they are listening. San Antonio, Texas, D, thank you so much. David in New Jersey, Daniel in Glendale, right up the road from the Disneyland Resort. Thanks, Daniel, for tuning in. We've got Kim in Spring Hill, Florida. Hey. And Genetiki Room in Naples, Florida, heading to Epcot for a day in a few weeks. Ooh, that should be fun. And you know what? I do enjoy myself a little trip to Epcot as well. Edward is tuning in from behind Levi's Stadium. Thank you so much for being with us. Always love whenever you get to chime in. And Skywalker Brian looks like he is tuning in from Buffalo, New York. Hello. And Lori Jean from the North Bay area. So always appreciate everybody being with us. And again, if you haven't yet shared where you are locking in the signal from, we would love to know exactly where you are tuning in at and how we might be able to cater to you in future broadcasts depending on where you are. But at any rate, like I said, lots happening in the world of Disney Parks news and so much going on in terms of the Disneyland Resort. In fact, they have the majority of stories this week. We covered a lot about Walt Disney World last week. Certainly much happening on that end, and the 50th anniversary was definitely taking center stage. We had Tyler Crouch, Katrina Manzoni out at Epcot, our own Garrett Hassel out at Disney's Animal Kingdom, and brought to you all the latest updates coming out of Walt Disney World and all the things that they were sharing based on the 50th anniversary kickoff. They were announcing all kinds of things last week, in addition to all the stuff that was already beginning for the 50th anniversary. They announced all kinds of additional things that were going to be coming online by the end of the year, and then, of course, into 2022. So definitely a lot of stories that we were able to touch on last week with Florida. Plenty to chat about this week. also in Orlando. But this is going to be a much more Disneyland heavy show, mainly because we kind of ignored Disneyland last week. It was all about Walt Disney World's 50th, and Disneyland has had a lot going on too. And I felt like as everybody migrated out to the East Coast, right? Everybody migrated out to Orlando to cover Walt Disney World. Poor old Disneyland is just over here on the West Coast dealing with things and chucking out news left and right, and very few people are paying attention to it. So like I said, we have a lot to talk about when it comes to Disneyland news time. I know that there's an awful lot as well to chat about when it comes to the Genie Plus service, and a lot of people have been sending us questions already on various videos that we've had posted up. So rest assured, we're going to get into that. We're going to give you a full breakdown here today as to exactly how it works, exactly what you can expect from it, and exactly how much it's going to cost you as well. So FYI, all of that is something that we are going to be getting into for you. I also see people checking in. Booze Cruise from Los Angeles. Connor from London, thank you for listening across the pond. That means so much. I really appreciate it anytime you get to check in from jolly old England. And it appears that Adventures in the Park is at Disneyland right now in line for Rise of the Resistance. So thank you for tuning in. Christine, hello. It's so nice to have you with us as well. And yeah, lots of Disney Parks news we are going to be getting to here. I wanted to start right off the bat by sharing with you that it looks like Web Slingers over at California Adventure, the Spider-Man attraction. Ladies and gentlemen, guess what? It sounds like they might just drop the virtual queue or they're using the term pause. They might just pause the virtual queue here very shortly. So they've done it out at Walt Disney World with Rise of the Resistance. We've been talking about whether or not they were going to do it here at Disneyland for Rise of the Resistance, but it looks like, according to Blog Mickey, they say wording on the Disneyland website has been updated to reflect the possibility that the standby queue may be used for Web Slingers, a Spider-Man adventure in California Adventure. The change was spotted yesterday, and the Web Slingers attraction may, by the end of each day, each operating day, may switch over to a standby option rather than virtual queue. And I'll tell you that this is something, by the way, where I've noticed in all of my recent park visits to California Adventure that we are in fact seeing lots of movement away from Avengers Campus as the new hotness. Certainly it's still commanding a lot of attention. Certainly it is still something that's very popular and everybody's loving. But I just wanted to make mention that in all of my recent visits to the Disneyland Resort, specifically into California Adventure, I am noticing, I'm picking up on the fact that less and less people are sort of jamming into Avengers Campus, and the Spider-Man attraction is no longer being such a we'll call it a log jam when it comes to the attractions throughout the day. So, Rise of the Resistance still on several days can be a log jam, especially on weekends, where everybody crushes in and everybody wants to go experience it. But we are now seeing, for the first time, the demand for the Web Slingers attraction really start to slow down. And at least by 4 or 5 p.m., I'm noticing far fewer people even showing up for virtual queue. They have virtual queue available, all the way into the evening hours on select days at this point. So going to a standby queue is probably something very realistic, probably something that they could do quite easily. And I know that having that being the hottest new attraction on California Adventure's side, that's going to make a lot of people happy, right? That's going to certainly make a lot of people very content with just the concept of being able to get on and do more. So very excited to see that might be a possibility here very shortly. We'll keep our eye on it. Certainly this is, wording on a website and things that might be shifting and changing. But I'll tell you from my own personal experience here recently, it does look like that might just be the direction that they are going. I'm willing to bet that we are going to see that. I was thinking it myself each day as I walk by and see the tapering off and the virtual queue having so much availability, so much into the evening hours. And now it looks like there's a real possibility of it just going standby after a certain point each day, if not full time. So we'll see how that works out. It's a very efficient attraction, it seems. It moves a lot of people an hour, which is great. Every new attraction should. If that's not the goal of Imagineering outside of great storytelling now, then shame on them, because more efficiency and pushing more people through quicker is always and should always be a goal in design for any new attraction, especially in a smaller park like California Adventure that can use all of the capacity that they can. All right, so I told you we're going to talk about this nightmare scenario that unfolded here in the last week at the Disneyland Resort. So if you're a Magic Key holder, if you're somebody that has bought into the annual pass system at the Disneyland Resort, you no doubt have witnessed in the last couple weeks that as more and more people have purchased these passes, fewer and fewer reservations are available. That's right, all the way through December, in fact. It was something that I was noticing about 2 weeks ago and thought, here we go. And, we've talked about it on this program, by the way. If you've ever watched Disney News Talk Live, if you've ever listened in, you've definitely heard me say this is a tidal wave. This is a tidal wave coming if Disney does not get more transparent and get out in front of what's happening and being transparent about what they have available. Okay, so this tidal wave just about hit this past week where almost everything for the next 2 to 3 months was completely booked out weekend-wise. Almost everything holiday week-wise was gone, even for the top-tier pass. All right, so even for the Dream Key, it was gone. And this was creating a bit of an uproar online, a bit of an uproar across the Disney Parks fandom. And of course, all the locals here at Disneyland are almost all, Magic Key holders or annual pass holders. And buyer's remorse was setting in and getting very vocal, and we're hearing it from more and more people, even folks that help out with our show. Even they are saying how disappointed they are and how, they bought this pass so that they could go when convenient. But things changed very fast after all hell broke loose and this nightmare scenario showed up. Okay, so what nightmare scenario specifically are we talking about? I'm here to share that with you, okay? And I want to make sure that we set that up and also let you know that things changed very quickly after a little bit of, we'll say, bad press. Here's the story. The Orange County Register's Brady McDonald writes that the nightmare scenario that Disneyland annual pass holders feared could happen is already coming true, as Magic Key reservations are completely booked for weeks at a time, as well as the next 7 weekends stretching all the way to Thanksgiving. The widespread lack of reservations for Disneyland and Disney California Adventure barely a month after the launch of the new membership program has left annual pass holders wondering if the new Magic Key is still a good value if they can't get into the parks. Quote, the nightmare before Christmas may just be getting a Disneyland park reservation through the holidays, according to MiceChat, saying, unless you have your weekdays free, finding a weekend reservation is rapidly becoming a difficult prospect. Close quote. The vast majority of key holders say they are able to get just as much, if not more, access to the parks than they expected when they signed up, according to Disneyland officials. Disneyland is managing attendance by leveraging its theme park reservation system that requires advance reservations for the Magic Key holders and day guests to help provide a great guest experience for all and spread out visitation, according to Disney officials. Magic Key holders reserve dates from a separate theme park reservation inventory and access calendar than regular day visitors, according to Disneyland. Key holders can visit either Disneyland or DCA any day their passes are not blocked out and reservations happen to be available. Key holders can make 2, 4, or 6 reservations at a time in a 90-day window depending on their pass type. The Magic Key online calendar is dynamic and constantly changing, which means unavailable reservations can become available again at any time. At the time of publication, the Magic Key calendar showed daily reservations unavailable through October 20th and weekend reservations unavailable until November 27th. There were no Magic Key reservations available for either park on Halloween and Christmas Day or at Disneyland on Thanksgiving Day and New Year's Eve. In contrast, the daily ticket calendar showed availability on virtually all days in October, November, and December, with a few near-term daily dates and the weekend of October 9th and 10th as sold out. Daily ticket reservations are still available for both parks on Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's Eve. Quote, "This is going to get ugly fast," Inside Universal's Chris Glass wrote on Twitter, saying Disneyland has already filled AP reservations for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. November is looking nasty too. These limits are hilariously low right now, close quote. Disneyland continues to closely monitor Magic Key reservation availability, make adjustments, and open up inventory to deliver a great program for their most loyal fans, according to Disneyland officials. Disneyland ended its former 4-decade-old annual pass program in January during the extended coronavirus closures of the parks. The new Magic Key annual passes went on sale August 25th for $399 to $1,399, with Disneyland offering a free swag box for new key holders who purchase a pass during the first 66 days in honor of the park's anniversary, which, by the way, I still haven't gotten. Wonder when that's going to arrive. Disneyland could end Magic Key sales at any time, but has shown no signs of doing so, which could make reservations more difficult to obtain over time. Magic Key fears about reservation scarcity are already beginning to materialize, according to MiceChat. Quote, "We're noticing some big changes to park availability, which is sure to cause concern about the program and whether it's worth the high cost," according to MiceChat. "Weekends and holidays are starting to book up further and further out," close quote. The culture of Disneyland pass holders is rapidly changing, according to MiceChat. Gone are the days of spontaneous last-minute weekend trips to the park made by pass holders for dinner and fireworks. Saying, quote, "Things are starting to become more like the operations of Walt Disney World, where planning theme park visits and dining occurs months in advance," according to MiceChat. Disneyland has tried to tempt pass holders to visit on weekdays with perks like limited edition Avengers Campus maps only available Monday through Thursday. Pass holders have already learned to check the Magic Key availability calendar just before midnight or in the early morning hours for last-minute reservation cancellations. Disneyland also adds reservation availability throughout the day, meaning pass holders can snag same-day reservations if they check the calendar regularly. In theory, the biggest perk of the top-tier $1,399 Dream Key Pass is 365-day access to both Disneyland and DCA, according to Inside the Magic. Quote, "However, theory is not exactly reality. The reality is that annual pass holders find themselves struggling to make reservations on certain days," according to Inside the Magic, saying Disney might want to reconsider just how many reservation spots are available for pass holders so they can take advantage of using their annual passes on the days that they want to, close quote. Disneyland's loyal fan base has grown increasingly angry over the apparent prioritization of daily ticket buyers over annual pass holders. Dior of Rancho Santa Margarita regrets buying the top-priced Magic Key now that so many reservation dates are unavailable, saying, quote, "Feeling disenchanted with most days no reservation available, even for the top dollar Dream Key Pass," Yor wrote on Twitter, saying the park is not full, but giving preference to ticket buyers, close quote. Chick P. McGee found the lack of Magic Key reservations extremely disappointing, saying, "For the amount we pay, you'd think we'd at least be able to book a weekend 3 weeks in advance," McGee wrote on Twitter. Disneyland's new Magic Key reservation system, quote, "makes no sense," according to Louis Solorio, saying, "Spent $1,300 for a pass just so I could be blocked out," Solorio wrote on Twitter, adding, "Disneyland, your reservation system is stupid." Disneyland never discusses attendance or capacity limits, making it difficult to know if the Anaheim parks have reached their new normal when it comes to daily attendance levels, or if additional capacity will be added as more nighttime spectaculars, live shows, and shuttered eateries return. Disney CEO Bob Chapek has said Disneyland and Disney World will not be fully staffed until the end of the year. Once again, our thanks to Brady McDonald of the Orange County Register for that story. All right. So this leads me to think just about how maybe the press has pushed Disney into doing a little something about this. I don't know. I think the bad press definitely started to bubble up. The outrage started to bubble up here this past week. This story hit, I think, on Wednesday, maybe Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, but it definitely hit mid this week. And what happened was quite an uproar was attached to it, and a lot of people getting quite irritated. And I think maybe Brady McDonald at the Orange County Register recognized that, and that's probably why he did the story. But the moment that story came out, probably a couple hours later, we started to hear rumblings internally over at Disney from our sources that they knew they messed up and that something should change. Within the last 24 hours, the reservation windows opened for all of these passes all of the sudden. So we went from mostly blocked out, completely booked up months ahead, to suddenly everything got opened up again for the most part. I think there were still some holidays that were completely booked out depending on pass. But suddenly everything opened up and you were able to book things again. Now, I haven't checked within the last couple of hours, but I know that as of last night, far more days were available that were not available just a few days ago. This, especially if you're a Dream Key holder and you've purchased the very top tier pass, this is not right, especially for them. Especially for you. If you own that pass with no blockout dates, there absolutely needs to be consideration for that pass above all. Okay, I have the Believe pass. I have the second tier, so I'm not the top. I'm the second from the top, mainly because my needs to go to Disneyland, I think, are, especially when I looked at the calendar, my needs to go to Disneyland are much less than what was needed when I was looking at the Dream Key and having nothing blocked out. And then the Believe Key only had a handful of things blocked out, and they were usually, they're the most extreme of weeks anyway that I wouldn't want to be there because it'd be pandemonium, it'd be crazy. So I didn't want to deal with it. But I thought, yeah, I'll just pay for the lesser pass because it blocks me out during times I wouldn't go anyway. It's just a cheaper concept. And I'll tell you, fortunately, I've been able to reserve a lot of the days that I want to go on because I'm squatting on those days. I'm booking all 6 reservations out and making sure that I have the days that I need. But when I was looking into the future, I was looking into, November, December, I thought, my God, there's going to be, I'm not going to be able to go, in November and December. I can't get in. And then within a day, suddenly everything opened back up and we're back into this place where a lot more is available and we're okay. And look, I understand that they have to allot so many reservations, so many openings for ticket holders, right? Day ticket holders, people that buy tickets every day. Understand, that's where the real money comes from for Disneyland. It always has. And that's why when they were talking about bringing back an annual pass and only selling a certain amount, and it wasn't going to be nearly as bad as the last annual pass program because they had over 1 million annual passes. We've talked about it before in this program. They wanted to have a more restrictive program to begin with, but here we are now in the current day where they're still saying they're restricting attendance, they're restricting capacity, and with that also comes the nomenclature in your terms and agreement, right, that you buy when you get the pass. In the terms and agreement, you agree that you understand, based on availability and through this pandemic restriction time, you may not get all the days that you want. However, I didn't anticipate whole months being blocked out. I expected a few weekends here, a few weekends there. I didn't anticipate earlier this week when I looked at November and December and saw basically a couple of weekdays open, and that was it. I thought, you've got to be kidding me! Like, this is alarming. This is scary because it's like, why am I paying for this? But the best way I can put this, I think, is what's happening is between the tickets themselves, right? So the day tickets and the uh, Magic Key passes having their own set bucket of reservations. I think what Disneyland is doing here is they are creating an environment where they want to wait until the last possible moment. At least this is what it looks like at this point. They want to wait until the last possible moment, right? Until they know whether or not day ticket holders are truly going to show up, right? They want to know until the last possible moment, are day ticket holders going to make reservations or not? Are they going to show up or not? So is there going to be an influx of capacity within the next, we'll say, month, and our days trending lower or higher? They want to accommodate all those big spending day ticket buyers. And so virtually what the My Magical Key Pass is becoming, right? So virtually what the Magic Key Pass is turning into is essentially a standby ticket for an airline flight. If enough people don't show up and fly, then you're going to be able to board. That's how this is trending. And that is not what people bought into. Hopefully, we will see in the very near future this change. Again, they're pointing the finger at, well, we have to keep things restricted. We have to keep attendance low. We have to go out of our way to make sure that capacity is lighter because of the pandemic. I'll tell you, in the last 2 weeks, the amount of feedback we are receiving as a channel from people that have been in the parks in the last 2 weeks, there's a lot of disappointment over how overcrowded it feels. So, I don't know what the capacity cap is right now. Again, that's held very tight to the vest. Nobody talks about it. The upper echelon of executives are aware as to what they're truly allowing in each day. There's a set standard across the resort as to what they anticipate, but only the number crunchers and the executives are fully aware as to what they're allowing in. But we are hearing a lot of concern when it comes to how overcrowded it suddenly feels. So that, mixed in with blocking out these magic keys and then suddenly allowing them back in because they're not getting the day ticket holders that they are expecting, these things are all very much going to play into a great deal of guest dissatisfaction. This is a huge guest dissatisfier. And for anybody that bought these passes trying to plan out trips far in advance, I don't know what to tell you other than you're going to have to probably squat on your reservations far out, because if you wait too long, you might miss out on your day entirely. So I don't know what to tell you. And then the same goes with some ticket holders, depending on which days they'd like to go. Sometimes, and it happens much more rare, of course, for day ticket holders, but sometimes day ticket holders can't even get in. And so we've been getting a lot of that feedback on the channel as well. People leaving comments saying, should I risk it? Should I, make a reservation now? Do they really hold you to that? And it's like, well, yeah, they do. I've been told straight to my face before. I came in with a day ticket here not too long ago, and their system allowed me to make a reservation. Their system allowed me to make a reservation for that day with a tiered ticket that did not match that day. And I think I've told this story before, but if you're not aware, the day tickets are tiered based on how busy the day is going to be. So, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. And those numbers reflect how busy they anticipate the parks being, and therefore you pay more for a day ticket on a busier day. I came in with a tiered ticket where I booked a reservation because it allowed me to, and it said it was accepted. And I was basically told by a main entrance cast member, a main entrance supervisor who came over because they wouldn't let me in with the ticket. And he said, yeah, no, this is the wrong tier. And I said, I have a reservation, though. It allowed me to book the reservation. Why would it allow me to book a reservation if I can't? I don't understand that. And he said, yeah, I don't know. He shrugged, and he said, you have to go over to the ticket booths and upgrade your ticket. Fortunately, I was in a situation where I had a different ticket that allowed me access that day, just on my profile that I had purchased not too long before that I was going to use eventually. So I lucked out, and fortunately I was still able to get that reservation that day, because then became the problem of I then had to worry about still getting into the park because I needed a reservation for the new ticket. So you see how complicated these things can be? So not being transparent up front about how these Magic Key calendars work and how much capacity they have, this creates so much tension and unnecessary stress and concern from the Disney Parks fan base, especially the most loyal of the fan base at Disneyland. This makes up the majority of the attendance. And so I understand you want to make the best possible financial decision, right? I understand that. But my goodness, this is something that, if you're not being transparent about how the system works and what's available, and you can just flick a switch and say, okay, yeah, and now here months later, cool. You know, it was all packed up for the last month for future calendar reservations, and now, all right, flick of a switch, it's all opened up again. So those were always available? I don't understand. This, like I said, it gets a little frustrating. Yes, a little frustrating to have to deal with that on and off. But at any rate, it's a policy that I know many cast members have to uphold at the main entrance, and no doubt they're dealing with a lot of irate people, a lot of really upset individuals in the process, and it's the policy they have to carry out. Not cool that they then have to deal with the fallout from this mess that's created. But I could tell they were over it, especially when the supervisor told me, yeah, I don't know what to tell you, but you're going to have to go pay to upgrade. And it's like, oh, well, your system allowed me to do it. How is that fair? Thank goodness that I was local, because that was a day ticket. That wasn't something where, it was like an annual pass mishap or something like that. Like, this was a day ticket. So thank goodness I wasn't somebody from, Utah trying to come in, and I was on vacation, and, you have kind of a set budget, right, when you come on vacation. And, that would have wasted a big part of my day just standing in those lines and trying to get it all sorted out. You also think about how time is money on vacations, and just how unfortunate that all eventually, builds into the dissatisfaction. So at any rate, there you have it. That is what was going on. That is the nightmare scenario that unfolded this past week. No doubt will happen again until Disney's more transparent about this. No doubt this will occur, and there will be an uproar, and there will be concerns, because nobody knows what to plan for, right? Unless you squat on all of your reservations, nobody knows what to plan for or how to prepare for a trip when they tell us things are blocked out, and then we get a week closer and suddenly everything's available again. It's like, well, how am I supposed to prepare? So at any rate, I'm interested in hearing what you think. Should Disneyland stop selling Magic Key passes, or should they just open up more reservations? Should they be more transparent? I'm very interested in hearing what you think, very interested in hearing your perspective. Even if you're not on the West Coast, even if you have no intention of buying a Magic Key pass, when you think about an annual pass program, what do you expect from it? What do you anticipate a annual pass program to give you, especially if you buy the top tier pass that says no blockout dates, and suddenly you have weeks upon weeks of being blocked out? I get it. We're all dealing with limited capacity and restrictions. I understand that this is something that we all have to put up with for the time being. And I think there was legitimate consideration there. However, now we're getting to a place where perhaps they've sold too many Magic Keys. And now everybody's booking all these reservations so far out. So what needs to happen? If you could wave your magic wand, if you were the king of Disneyland, how would you go about handling this? Be very interested in hearing your perspective, and we will be getting to that here in just a bit. But you stick with us. Hey, don't you go anywhere. How about that? Don't you go anywhere. There's plenty more. Disney News Talk Live, straight ahead.
It's Chad, then Bill, then Bert. Yeah, I worked with all of them. The Bert's my favorite.
Never make out what you're saying. Radio, does it have uniform?
Yes.
Disney News Talk Live. Thanks so much for being with us, by the way. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Let everybody know there's a party going on up in here and that you are a part of said party. That's right. Yeah, hit that thumbs up button. Let us know that you are out there. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, we have lots of updates that we do throughout the week. You don't want to miss those either, as well as our live shows. So make sure that you've got that notification bell turned on and that you've hit that subscribe button for us. Lets us know that we are on the right track. We'll keep churning out various content just like this. So it's time to ask you, what do you think needs to happen with this Magic Key program, especially that we heard so much of the calendars in the coming month were booked out as of this past week, and then all of a sudden, with the flick of a switch, Disneyland opened up a ton more reservations out of nowhere, and we're seeing this also out at Walt Disney World occasionally, where that happens as we get closer to the date. Suddenly, oh look, the calendar lights back up, and we can pick what we want. So, asking what your thoughts are. Clips fan chimes in and says, what's the point of paying out hundreds of dollars if we can't have access to proper reservations? It's definitely frustrating. Amen to that, Clips fan. Yeah, no, and it's something that's over the course of time, too. And I know this will eventually not be a problem, right? Eventually this will go away, and they'll be able to open up a lot more windows, and as capacity raises, and they lift the veil on capacity and they allow more people into the parks, certainly they'll have a lot more opportunity for reservations, and maybe it'll become more like Disney World's annual pass program where they just have more available. Okay, granted, Disney World's huge and they've got 4 theme parks versus 2, but getting an annual pass reservation out there does tend to be a lot easier now. Whereas in the beginning, when they first reopened, things were quite challenging, right? So we heard those stories originally where people were not able to get into Walt Disney World. People were not able to get their reservations as annual pass holders. But yes, to pay the money in and to get it deducted if you're in the payment plan, which I know many people are, to get it deducted each month, and then to just have to get it deducted each month, and then to just have nothing available for you to book a reservation for. It's like, why am I paying this? Why am I giving you my money? So absolutely. D chimes in saying they might open more reservations for Halloween, but there's no guarantee. Certainly, and a lot more, like I said, have just opened back up all of a sudden. Todd says, the vast majority of key holders say they are able to get just as much, if not more, access to the parks than they expected when they signed up, according to Disneyland officials. That was, yeah, right, that's a quote from the story. And it's certainly something, Todd, that I chuckled at because, of course, Disneyland officials are going to say that. Yeah, right. Of course, Disneyland officials are going to speak highly of the program and act like there's no concerns when that is very much not the case right now. So thank you for chiming in there. And then Edward chimes in saying a few months ago, it was tough to get the Blue Bayou restaurant. And Edward, that's another thing, financially speaking, when it comes to also plunking down money for additional dining experiences, especially upcharge expensive restaurants like the Blue Bayou. Getting reservations to these restaurants even now, I mean, it hasn't even gone away. It's very difficult. I get asked all the time, how do you score a reservation to a place like Blue Bayou? The truth is, you don't. The truth is, it's very difficult. The only strategy I've ever told people is you can try about 24 hours ahead of the day that you want to get your reservation. You can try like the night before when people dump off their reservations, because remember, they get charged the next day. So you can make your attempt, but I can't tell you that it's going to work for sure. So definitely something that I like to share with people. But yeah, even today, getting a Blue Bayou restaurant reservation is a very difficult thing to do. Jay Pike chimes in saying, checked again, only 4 of the next 36 Friday, Saturday, Sundays available till the end of the year. Yeah, there you go. Even with lots of new opportunities sort of flicking the switch and new opportunities presenting themselves, Disney opening up the calendars again, still things are booking out very quickly. I know I saw it on social media yesterday where that lit up and everybody started messaging each other and pinging each other and tagging each other saying, hey, they just opened up the calendars again, and people rushed in and booked their reservations. So, it's even with the open calendars, things are booking right back up. Lucy says, hello, Wade and Company. Well, hi, Lucy. It seems as though the majority of AP holders are pretty disappointed with the reservation system. I'm glad I didn't pay that huge amount of money only to be blocked out. And I'm hearing this over and over again, Lucy, buyer's remorse and people feeling like maybe they shouldn't have purchase this magic key so soon. Maybe they should have waited. And Disney certainly has pushed the buy within the first couple of months and you'll get a swag pack. Which again, I say, where is it? I haven't received it, but it's definitely something that I'm hearing more and more of. Lots of disappointment and feeling like, man, if I can't go when I wanted to go, then why do I have this annual pass? I'll just buy a ticket every once in a while, I guess. Still, I think, if you're paying the monthly payment plan, if you're paying the monthly option, it might be worth it if you can still go once or twice a month, then it's paying for itself. But I get it that a lot of people are in a place where they can't go until the weekends, and the weekends are constantly booked up because everybody in Southern California wants to go on the weekends. So totally understand. Thank you so much, Lucy, for chiming in. All right. Edward says, be more transparent. I agree. It would be nice if they were just more transparent and sharing things. Let's see. Faithkeeper says November is filling up with reservations and all Friday, Saturday in December is fully booked for the Dream Key. Again, the top key, right? So there we have it once more. It's if you are not squatting on your reservations, you are missing out, to be sure. And Patty Raditich says annual passes are a disgrace now. Patty, there's a lot of disappointment out there, and people are very upset with paying into a system that they are getting very little back from. Totally understand, and thank you so much for not only tuning into the broadcast, but also sharing your thoughts. I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know if Disney's just going to open up more reservations now because they're feeling the blowback and it's getting negative media. Because again, as soon as that story came out, within 24 hours, suddenly those calendars opened right up. So I don't know if they're just going to open the calendars up permanently and give us what we needed to begin with, or if they're going to play this cat and mouse game where, no pun intended, but they're going to play this cat and Mickey Mouse game where, we have to get really fired up in order for them to go, we messed up, got it, okay, and flick the switch. So hopefully we'll see some changes here in the near future. All right. Thank you so much for chiming in and sharing your thoughts when it comes to that story. I know very heated, and I know not everybody's annual pass holders. I know not everybody has, magic keys or are even interested in, going to Disneyland. They might be strictly Walt Disney World people, but we try and cover both coasts on this show as well as the channel. So again, I thank you so much for hanging out with us and listening to that story. So let's talk about Genie Plus specifically when it comes to Disneyland. And yes, we will cover Disney World in a bit. Specifically when it comes to Disneyland, the Genie Plus service is on its way. Still no official date as to when the Genie Plus service is going to roll out. They are training cast members right now. In fact, it's why Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln and the Opera House is closed because they are using the theater to train everybody. And so that is happening as we speak, and they are going to be releasing that date here very shortly. But they did release information here within the last 48 hours as to what the Genie Plus service is going to look like at Disneyland and the specifics as to what you can anticipate attraction-wise, pricing-wise, all of that. So let's dive into it. The following comes to us from the Press Enterprise. They write, Disneyland visitors will need to keep their credit cards handy now that they can pay their way to the front of the line on Rise of the Resistance, Web Slingers, and many of the other popular rides at the Anaheim theme park. Disneyland announced the 19 Genie Plus front-of-the-line rides and 3 pay-to-ride individual Lightning Lane attractions that will be available through the new Disney Genie mobile app when it launches this fall. The Disney Genie app will debut October 19th at Walt Disney World's 4 Florida theme parks. A launch date for the Genie app at Disneyland and Disney California Adventure will be announced very soon, according to Disney officials. Expect the West Coast version of the Genie service to roll out as part of the existing Disneyland app sometime between late October and late December. Disneyland visitors won't be required to use the Genie service, but the digital planning tool will become an essential part of any visit to the parks. Disney's new personal assistant app will be divided into 3 parts: the free Disney Genie itinerary planning feature, the $20 Disney Genie Plus replacement for the former free Fast Pass and paid Max Pass line cutting perks, and the individual Lightning Lane option that charges $7 to $15 to jump to the front of the line on the most popular rides. The $20 Disney Genie Plus service is essentially identical to the $20 Max Pass that Disneyland and Disney California Adventure have offered since 2017. Free Fast Passes will become part of Disneyland history once the paid Genie Plus replacement launches. Disneyland will have 12 Genie Plus attractions at launch: Millennium Falcon, Smuggler's Run, Space Mountain, Haunted Mansion, Indiana Jones, Matterhorn bobsleds, Splash Mountain, Star Tours, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, It's a Small World, Autopia, Buzz Lightyear, Astro Orbiter, and Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin. The 7 Genie Plus rides at Disney California Adventure are Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, Incredicoaster, Soarin' Around the World, Toy Story Midway Mania, Grizzly River Run, Monsters Inc., Mike and Zelly to the Rescue, and Goofy's Sky School. Well, thank goodness for that. At Disney World, the individual Lightning Lane option allows visitors to pay $7 to $15 for front-of-the-line access for select attractions that are not part of the paid Genie Plus lineup of rides. Individual Lightning Lane costs have not been finalized yet at Disneyland and California Adventure. Disneyland will have only one individual Lightning Lane attraction at launch. That is Star Wars Rise of the Resistance and Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. The individual Lightning Lane attractions at California Adventure will be the Web-Slinger Spider-Man Adventure in Avengers Campus and the crowd favorite Radiator Springs Racers in Cars Land. Disneyland and California Adventure visitors will be able to select up to 2 individual Lightning Lane attractions per day. And no, you can't choose Rise of the Resistance twice per day, even if you want to. Disneyland's website is careful to mention that the 19 attractions on the Genie Plus list will be part of the paid front-of-the-line service at launch. 6 Disneyland attractions not currently on the Genie Plus list make the Disney World lineup. For example, Jungle Cruise, Pirates of the Caribbean, Peter Pan's Flight, Mad Tea Party, Dumbo the Flying Elephant, and The Mini Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. 3 California Adventure attractions that don't currently show up on the Genie Plus list are part of the Disney World lineup, and that's The Little Mermaid, Ariel's Undersea Adventure, Mickey's PhilharMagic, and Turtle Talk with Crush. 2 other Genie Plus attractions at Hollywood Studios have California Adventure Parallels, Alien Swirling Saucers is a clone of Mater's Junkyard Jamboree, and Beauty and the Beast Live on Stage is the Broadway-style equivalent of Frozen Live at the Hyperion. Although I don't know if I would compare those two. They do seem a little different to me. 2 nighttime spectaculars, Fantasmic at Disneyland and World of Color at California Adventure, used to be part of the former Fast Pass options. They could show up again as Genie Plus options once they return from their extended pandemic hibernation. Disneyland currently only has 1 individual Lightning Lane ride, Rise of the Resistance, that will make Disneyland the only U.S. park without 2 individual Lightning Lane attractions. What could fill that extra spot? The second individual Lightning Lane spot at Disneyland could be a placeholder for the pandemic-delayed Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway that is now set to debut in 2023. Runaway Railway is an individual Lightning Lane attraction at Disney's Hollywood Studios in Florida. What happens if you don't upgrade to Genie Plus on the individual Lightning Lane options? Then you're at the mercy of the standby and single rider lines, which will still exist. Once again, thank you, Press Enterprise, for that story. So there you have it when it comes to the Genie Plus service coming to the Disneyland Resort. Again, we're anticipating a date announced here very shortly as to when it'll all go into effect. But my goodness, this is really going to change things, isn't it? And it's definitely going to modify the way in which we experience the parks. It's definitely going to modify the way we go about our day. And I'm always hesitant to knock anything before I try it. It's kind of a rule that I have, especially having been a part of Disney for over a decade. I always want to at least try it firsthand, right? Speculation means nothing, okay? Trying it firsthand is important, and knowing exactly what you're getting is important, and then being able to form a vested opinion, right? Being able to form an educated thought on what you're being offered versus what you are paying versus what you used to get. That all ends up being far more valuable because then you're educated on everything, you've experienced it firsthand, you can speak to it in a very sort of solid foundation way. But this is taking something that was, for the most part, free for decades and putting a price tag on it and putting this into our lap as something where now we need to try and understand the intricacies of what sounds like a more complicated version of MaxPass. Hopefully the AI involved, hopefully the free end of the Genie service will provide us with a lot of opportunities to make our day easier, make our day more simple. And it sounds like that's the idea, right? Is to try and give you a day that's free of having to wait for long periods of time, and the AI will know, what you want to do versus where you're going versus what you still have to do on your list based on what you've told it. And so maybe there will be a benefit to the free end of the Genie service, but I know a lot of people will probably jump at the opportunity to pay per attraction on especially busy days. So at any rate, turning it on over to you here, because this is something that will, much like FastPass did, sort of revolutionize the way in which we experience theme parks. How do you think Genie Plus will change the theme park experience? I just want to get your initial thoughts on exactly what you anticipate. Again, things might change based on when you get to actually experience this thing and when you actually get to put your hands on it and work with it. But I want to know, at least in the idea of approaching this, right? At least in the concept of walking towards this and knowing that it's coming, how do you think Genie Plus will change the theme park experience? And we can talk about Disneyland and Disney World. We're going to cover Disney World here in just a bit more specifically as to what's on their list and exactly what you get over there. But how do you think this is going to impact Disneyland? And then if you'd like to chime in about Disney World right now, you can certainly do that as well. But do you think this is going to radically change your experience at the theme parks? Do you think this is going to make you have to wait longer? Do you think this is going to make you have more of an opportunity to ride the things that you want to because you're willing to pay $9 to jump on something last minute? I would really be interested in hearing what's on your mind and exactly what you are willing to put up with price-wise when it comes to the Genie Plus service. I understand it looks like that over in Paris, their version of this, the upcharge Lightning Lane Fast Pass system over there, they just dropped the price. So that's something that came out this week where it looks like they didn't start this very long ago. They just started it, as a matter of fact, and they started with this concept initially of, pay per attraction, a la carte style, of being able to jump on board a ride and pay a little for the opportunity to do so and not wait. And they've dropped the prices. So it sounds like perhaps this isn't nearly as popular as Disney thought it was going to be, at least in Paris, right? So at least in Europe, maybe people aren't willing to front the money to do this sort of a thing. But do you anticipate here in the States it being very different? Again, chime in, let us know what is on your mind, and we will be getting to your comments here very shortly. Stick with us, plenty more Disney News Talk Live next. Disney News Talk Live time. Thank you so much once again for being a part of the broadcast. If you are watching this broadcast after the live version, we do encourage you to leave comments beneath this video if you happen to be, again, watching past the live version to any of the stories that you see here. If you have any questions about these stories or any questions about the Disney Parks experience, go ahead and leave them in the comment section down below, and we will definitely follow up. We always try to, at least, with any comments that people send in to us, because we understand navigating the Disney parks can sometimes be rather difficult, especially when things like a new Genie Plus service is being introduced and a new Genie app is being brought into existence. And we asked you just before the break about whether or not this is going to impact the theme park experience overall. Is Genie Plus coming to Disneyland going to modify the way you ultimately enjoy the theme parks? And you are chiming in. Clips fan says, will Genie Plus be available as an add-on for Magic Key holders? Yes, Clips fan, it certainly will. It'll be an upcharge and something that you are able to tack on your various Magic Key your various Magic Key reservation days. So if you decide to roll on in and enjoy yourself a weekend or a weekday with your Magic Key Pass, you will be able to get the Genie Plus service as part of your park day. So definitely something you can do. Edward says, big money. Yes, Edward, it's true. That's right. We also see from Todd, he says, it used to be free. That is exactly why I won't be spending money on it. They are essentially turning the parks into carnivals where you need to buy tickets for rides. Or, as somebody put it in a recent broadcast when we talked about Genie Plus coming, and we didn't quite know exactly what it was going to look like. Obviously, we do now, but they said, I think they likened it to the A through E ticket, right? So the original way in which Disneyland operated with the lowest tier attraction being an A ticket's worth of pricing, and then the most sort of epic attraction having an E ticket attached to it. And so you paid per attraction. Granted, the price to get in was barely anything to get into Disneyland, and then you paid per attraction. But now they're sort of going that direction once again, and on top of it, charging you an awful lot of money just to get in the gates. So thank you, Todd, for chiming in. Edward says a new, different class system. I've heard this referred to several times, Edward, where people are, claiming that this is like a class system now. It's creating two classes of guests within the theme parks. And to a certain degree, it's the people that can pay for the upcharge experience that will be in the lightning lane next to you, and then the people that can't afford to pay for all the upcharge experience, waiting and choosing to do that with their time. So I guess it's all on what you want in a theme park experience. And, if you're willing to save a lot of money to go on a Disney vacation, maybe you're willing to save even more to take advantage of this new Genie Plus service. But again, I mentioned just before the break that Disneyland Paris is lowering the pricing of this version of what they have over there, because it sounds like not enough people are using it and not enough people are buying into it. Perhaps it might happen here. We'll see. It's definitely going to be a cultural shift, that's for sure. Jay Pike says, any front of line system will always make standby lines longer. Correct. That's also something that I think a lot of people are losing sight of, this process, and I'm sure because Disney has repeated themselves ad nauseum about how this is not going to be something that is going to be large in scale in terms of how many, I don't know what they're calling it necessarily lightning lanes, how many lightning lanes that they have to sell per attraction. But I know that we're definitely going that direction where if Disney is saying, hey, it's going to be kept to a minimum, it's not going to cause a dramatic backup of standby lines. Well, we'll see, won't we? We will see how much they sell. And, this is incremental revenue. This is something they can easily turn the spigot up on if they need a little bit more cash, or they want, their books to look a little bit better per quarter. Well, let's just kick this up a notch and allow even more people in to pay. The standby line will always get longer if you have two different systems. It's not like there's a different ride for a lightning lane person to get on that takes you a different route. It's all the same ride. It's all the same place people are going. So that's for sure. All right. I want to thank you all for chiming in and sharing all of your thoughts when it comes to this topic and Genie Plus taking over. Again, we will touch on exactly how it's going to ultimately become a part of our lives out at Walt Disney World 2 here in just a bit. But before we get there, let's talk about pandemic crowds, okay, as well as vaccine mandates and checks in the state of California. Things are very different, obviously, than the state of Florida. Politics are radically different from coast to coast. But in the county of Los Angeles versus the county of Orange, where all the major theme parks seem to lie for the most part, things are a-changing, and I definitely wanted to touch on that. So let's dive into it. The following comes to us from Business Insider. They write, the happiest place on earth is getting back on its feet as attendance rose this summer to nearly pre-pandemic levels. Disneyland in Anaheim, California saw about 85% of its 2019 attendance levels by the end of the summer, according to the Orange County Register, citing a report from Placer.ai, a data firm that tracks foot traffic at theme parks, retailers, and restaurants. The California-based park saw a much slower recovery than its Florida counterpart, primarily because of varying COVID restrictions at the state level, according to Placer.ai's report. California has stricter limitations on vaccine and mask policies, and Disneyland saw a 27.1% decrease in visits during the month of August compared to 2019, as coronavirus cases rose in the state. Florida's Disney World only saw a 15.3% decrease that same month. In the month of July, Disneyland visits were down about 25.3% from 2019's attendance levels, and Disney World's were only 8.2% lower. Other factors impacted the number of visitors to the parks, the report noted, such as weather, an increase in visitors' household income, and Labor Day weekend falling in early September this year as compared to late August in 2019. Disneyland was closed for more than a year due to California's coronavirus restrictions. The park returned to full capacity in June after reopening in April. Currently, all guests planning on visiting Disneyland must make a reservation in advance and wear a face covering while indoors, according to the park's policy. While it's not mandatory, the state of California strongly recommends that all guests be fully vaccinated or obtain a negative COVID-19 test prior to entering the Disneyland resort. And in addition to that, there are some reasons as to why Disneyland and the Anaheim theme parks are not mandating that you be vaccinated in order to enter, much like we have seen recently from Universal Studios Hollywood as well as Magic Mountain. In fact, Dirk Libby of CinemaBlend.com wrote the following about just that, saying, today, if you choose to visit Universal Studios Hollywood, you may have to show proof of full vaccination if you're 12 years old or older, or you won't be able to get in the gate. However, head down the road a piece to the Disneyland Resort, and assuming you have a reservation, you'll be able to get in without such a step. While both parks have been largely following the same guidelines up until now, beginning today, the fact that they are in two separate counties is now important. As the global pandemic enters yet another phase, we're seeing different counties impose different levels of restriction. This past week, a Los Angeles County public health order went into effect that requires proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test to be shown to enter many places where large crowds gather, including restaurants, bars, and also theme parks. This makes Universal Studios Hollywood the biggest theme park location in the nation to require vaccination as of now. The rule is a bit flexible. Technically, guests at Universal Studios Hollywood must be prepared to show proof of vaccination. It seems the theme park will only ask for proof once attendance hits a certain level. However, since Disneyland Resort is located in Orange County, it is under no such mandate. And considering the generally more conservative political leanings of Orange County, that seems quite unlikely to happen in the future. While California has largely been more restrictive than many other states, it has stopped short of any sort of statewide mandate like this. which is the only scenario where Disneyland might follow Universal. It's certainly not the only place where Disney and Universal parks differ in their restrictions. In Florida, Disney World is the park that is slightly more restrictive, requiring masks to be worn indoors, while Universal only requests that unvaccinated people wear masks. In this case, the difference is because the state of Florida is not requiring masks, but Disney World is choosing to follow CDC guidelines. It will be interesting to see if the vaccine requirement has a noticeable impact on attendance at Universal Studios Hollywood. On one hand, unvaccinated people not being able to get in might lower the numbers. At the same time, it's possible that the confidence that all guests are vaccinated might actually cause some that have been previously unwilling to visit theme parks to finally come out. We could also see some families choosing to visit Universal rather than Disney as a way to support the vaccine mandate. There are certainly those that would love to see Disneyland implement such a rule. With theme parks being a place for families, this will certainly still leave a lot of unvaccinated people in the park, all the children under the age of 12. With vaccines looking to be approved soon for those 5 and older, we may see this rule expanded to younger kids before it is rescinded, though it will probably be some time before LA County is ready to do that. Once again, our thanks to Dirk Libby of CinemaBlend.com for that story. And from pre-pandemic crowds and vaccine mandates, as well as no checks for vaccines, we move into the Christmas holiday season when it comes to Disneyland, and so much that is now being announced here in the last week in particular, not just when it comes to Disneyland Christmas parties, but in addition to that, we're going to look at a new Disneyland Christmas-themed store, a year-round Christmas-themed store. I can't believe it myself. And did you hear the good news? Candlelight. Disneyland's Candlelight is, in fact, coming back. I think there was a lot of speculation as to whether or not it was going to, and it sounded like more people were siding with the fact that it wasn't going to be coming. It looks like we are about to see Candlelight come back. Lots of stories to get to, lots of Christmas topics to touch on. Let's go. The following comes to us from LA Daily News. They write, Disneyland will bring back the annual Candlelight Processional that fills the Anaheim theme park each winter with seasonal songs after being forced to cancel the Christmas tradition in 2020 for the first time in decades because of the COVID-19 pandemic, all according to city permits. Disneyland filed a permit with Anaheim received on Tuesday, September 28th, for the installation of the Candlelight Processional at the Main Street USA train station, according to city records. The city permit calls for the installation of outdoor steel platforms, audio and show lighting towers, and movable folding viewing seats. The Candlelight Processional features dozens of choir groups who gather on a stage in front of Disneyland's train station to bring the story of Christmas to life. The annual event is attended by hundreds of community members who fill a seating area set up each holiday season in Disneyland's town square. The year-long coronavirus closure of Disneyland forced the park to cancel the Candlelight Processional in 2020 due to state-mandated restrictions that kept California theme parks shuttered. Across the Esplanade, Disney California Adventure reopened without rides or attractions as an extension of the downtown Disney Outdoor Mall for shopping and dining during the Christmas 2020 holiday season. Walt Disney World was also forced to put Epcot's Candlelight Processional on hiatus in 2020 due to the large crowds the events typically attract. Disney World has already announced the return of the much longer East Coast version of the Candlelight Processional at Epcot from November the 26th through December the 30th. Epcot will limit the choir and musicians to fully vaccinated employees, leaving guest choirs from community groups and schools out of the 2021 event. The return of Disneyland's Candlelight Processional is already cheering fans happy to see the 6-decade-long tradition back after a difficult year of pandemic cancellations and closures. Saying, quote, "The show was canceled for the first time in its history last year, But with its sister show already confirmed to return this year to Walt Disney World, it seems appropriate that the long-running annual event is coming home to the happiest place on Earth for the holidays, according to WDW News Today. Disneyland has not yet announced dates for the West Coast version of Candlelight Processional. If tradition holds, and there's no guarantee of that with the tradition-busting pandemic, the Candlelight Processional should be held at Disneyland on Saturday, December the 4th, and Sunday, December the 5th. The 600-member Candlelight Choir typically parades down Main Street, USA on 2 weekend nights in early December for 2 performances each night in Disneyland's Town Square. The crowded and busy special event tends to jam foot traffic near the main entrance of the park. Backstage passageways behind the Main Street USA shops are typically open during the candlelight performances to help ease congestion in the high-traffic area. The Disneyland Candlelight Ceremony tradition began in 1958 as a way for Walt Disney to show his gratitude to the Orange County community that was home to his first theme park. Each year, the singers include Disney employees and members of local community choirs performing along with a live orchestra, handbell players, and fanfare trumpeters. A celebrity narrator, kept a surprise until the first show, tells the story of the first Christmas between songs. Past narrators have included Cary Grant, John Wayne, Jimmy Stewart, Gregory Peck, Charlton Heston, Henry Fonda, Dick Van Dyke, Chris Hemsworth, and James Earl Jones. Reserved seating is limited to a few hundred invited guests that include community members, civic leaders, media representatives, and VIPs. Holding a private event in the middle of a theme park during operating hours presents a number of challenges for Disneyland, from attraction operations to show scheduling to crowd management. Crews set up the candlelight stage beneath the Main Street train station and arrange hundreds of folding chairs in Town Square between Disneyland City Hall and the Opera House. In past years, the candlelight ceremony has limited the attraction hours of the Disneyland Railroad, Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, Jungle Cruise, and the Main Street vehicles. Similarly, shop hours around Town Square, including the Mad Hatter and Disney Gallery, have been impacted by the ceremony. Disneyland does little to promote the Candlelight Processional to uninvited guests, but it is possible to catch the shows if you don't have reserved tickets. Candlelight fans have been known to wait all day for the limited standing room only spots behind the seating area. For those not willing to wait, it's possible to hear the ceremony along Main Street and see the choir arranged on risers in the shape of a Christmas tree. Once again, our many thanks to LA Daily News for that story. And for some more holly jolly news, the Orange County Register is reporting that Disneyland fans who love Christmas time at the Anaheim theme park will be able to get their dose of garland, ornaments, and nutcrackers 365 days a year once a new year-round holiday shop opens on Main Street, USA. The new Plaza Point store will take over the former Main Street Photo Supply Company, the location that was on Disneyland's entry promenade. Plaza Point will sell Christmas merchandise year-round with Halloween and Lunar New Year overlays, along with Easter, Hanukkah, spring, and fall seasonal decor. The shop will feature ornaments, housewares, linens, and holiday accessories. Disneyland has not announced an opening date for the shop. Work on Plaza Point is expected to be completed by October 16th, according to MiceChat. Photo supplies and photo pass services that used to be available at the Main Street Photo Supply Company on Main Street, USA, are being relocated to the former newsstand just outside of the Disneyland front gate, which has been renamed the Photo Concierge Booth. The Plaza Point on Main Street, USA essentially serves an expansion of the china closet next door that was often filled with ornaments and other holiday goods. Disneyland worked with Walt Disney Imagineering on the design of the Victorian-era wood-paneled holiday shop with decor that reflects Disney's commitment to diversity and inclusion. Disneyland Resort Enhancement graphic artist Brett Snodgrass designed one of the 2 new hand-painted window displays for the Plaza Point shop, saying, quote, "To do original art for a new environment in the original Disney Main Street is a real honor," close quote. Disneyland continues to work on another shuttered retail location in New Orleans Square. The former La Baton Rouge shop is expected to continue selling merchandise, despite misleading window signs that suggested a Princess and the Frog eatery could be coming to the location. This is very interesting to me. Every week we do a Disneyland in-park update, and we've been watching the progress of this former La Baton Rouge shop in New Orleans Square become Princess and the Frogified. It's not only been repainted to reflect the colors of the film, but there's also very cleverly a princess crown trim that's been woven in. And then in addition to that, I've also heard frogs woven into the atmosphere soundtrack around the door space of this retail location, and it's right alongside the old Club 33 door, and so everything now reflects the colors of Princess and the Frog. I'm hearing frogs now. Let that be a quote. I'm hearing frogs now. And in addition to that, there are, of course, as he mentioned, signs in the window that indicate food is on the way. There's references to gumbo, a spice of life, and so they are sort of indicating that food is coming to this location, but Disney has been mum on the project. They haven't said a word. And so now I'm interested as to where exactly the Orange County Register is pulling this information from, because this is just a little blurb here at the end of the story about Plaza Point, the Christmas shop, saying the former La Baton Rouge shop is expected to continue selling merchandise despite misleading window signs. So they're not saying where they're getting that information from. They're just saying, oh, we expect them to continue selling merchandise. I don't know who they're citing in this process. Disney hasn't said a word about what's coming. So at this point, I'm going to say the Register's guess is as good as everybody else's as to what's coming in there, because they have not ever shared what is coming, and they just started to make over this store out of nowhere. Granted, there isn't a whole lot of space where the former La Baton Rouge shop is currently, so I don't know if there was going to be food. I don't know what necessarily they were going to do, unless it was going to be sort of a window service environment, but at any rate, we will see what becomes of it. I just thought that was an interesting blurb. And now, Plaza Point is on the way to bring us the holly jolly cheer of Christmas year-round. And one final stop on the Christmas train of stories that we have here coming out of the Disneyland Resort. InsideTheMagic.net is reporting that the newest holiday event at Disney Parks, Disney Marius Nights at Disneyland Resort, will be hosted on 5 select nights at Disneyland Park in November and December. But before the event has even begun, it is starting to sell out. Now, remember, this was something that we talked about a couple weeks ago on this program, specifically about whether or not this was going to warrant enough people buying tickets to this special event, and whether or not it was going to even get close to selling out based on essentially how little was being offered overall. They say Disney Marius Nights is an all-new, separate, ticketed after-hours event taking place this holiday season at Disneyland Park in California. This event is super unique in that it's actually 6 holiday parties in one night, and offering Disneyland fans a very special new way to celebrate the Christmas season at the happiest place on earth. Of course, Disney fans love exclusive new offerings, and whenever there is something new and exciting happening at the Disneyland Resort, many guests want to experience it. That's why we're already seeing event dates sell out. Disneyland Resort describes Disney Marius Nights as the following, saying, "Our classic holiday favorites have some new twists during this all-new limited-capacity event. Mickey Mouse has invited some of his friends to host 6 themed parties throughout Disneyland Park on select nights, so you can celebrate the season in a merry new way. Event ticket includes the opportunity to enjoy admission to Disneyland Park 3 hours before the party begins. Mickey Mouse, Miguel, Tiana, Elsa, Lilo, Stitch, Buzz Lightyear, and some of their friends as they host their own themed party with unique photo ops. With a Victorian-themed party on Main Street, USA, Feliz Navidad party in Frontierland, New Orleans holiday in New Orleans Square, Frozen-themed party in Fantasyland, Tropical party in Adventureland, and Tomorrowland party in Tomorrowland." Well, what How original. A Tomorrowland party in Tomorrowland. All right. A Christmas fantasy parade, snowfall on Main Street USA, special Disney character sightings, select attractions and entertainment, including It's a Small World holiday and Haunted Mansion holiday, spectacular decor, lighting, music, and effects, unlimited digital downloads of Disney PhotoPass photos captured during the experience, and themed menu selections at select restaurants and holiday merchandise, including special merchandise for the event available for purchase. And a lot more holiday merriment for guests of all ages. Now, we also want to remind everybody that with all of that, a land that will be closed, well, two lands that will be closed, Toontown, as well as Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, will not be a part of Disney Marius Nights. That was something that we learned in the last time we talked about this story. Both lands closed during this party, so strange, to say the least, to not have two very large, one particularly large land offline with the most popular of all the attractions not available, and then to have Toontown out of commission. Probably not a terrible loss, especially given the fact that Toontown is currently under the knife, with Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway being essentially a boxed up portion of the middle of the land. But to not have Galaxy's Edge online, man, that's kind of tough, that's for sure. Rise of the Resistance is something I know a lot of people would be lined up for during a special ticketed event that definitely keeps capacity at a lower level. The 5 event dates for Disney Marius Nights are as follows: November 11th, November 16th, November 30th, December the 7th, and December the 9th. But as of this past week, 3 of the 5 dates have sold out. Tickets are no longer available for the event on November the 11th, that's opening night, and December the 7th and December 9th. At the time of this article's publication, tickets are only available for November 16th and November 30th, so keep this in mind if you haven't yet purchased tickets. Seeing as Oogie Boogie Bash, a California adventure, which, by the way, is hosted on many more nights than Disney Marius Nights, completely sold out before the season kicked off, it's not much of a surprise for Disney Marius Nights to already be sold out for 3 of the 5 after-hours events at Disneyland. You know, this also reminds me of how Disney After Hours Boo Bash in Walt Disney World sold out very quickly. Only there they ended up opening up nights again. They things that were sold out, they said, nights that were sold out, suddenly opened back up. And we were given an opportunity to buy tickets once more for nights that were originally sold out. So sort of wondering if the Marius Nights is going to have the same effect, if as we get closer to the dates themselves, if Marius Nights is suddenly going to open up more of an opportunity for people to buy tickets. Very interesting to say the least. You know, this kind of ties into the Magic Key reservation process, right? So they have this idea where you can buy Magic Key passes and you got to make your reservations, and they move the allotment of reservations around based on time and whether or not things have booked out. Transparency goes a long way, and I think that thinking that, you know, these tickets are going to be completely sold out would just turn me off to buying those tickets at all, because people have to plan these trips. People have to plan in and around these trips, so these dates matter. And I think that if you're not going to be upfront about whether or not there really truly is more space or really truly is more tickets available until you get closer to the event themselves, I think you're doing a disservice to your guest base, especially those who are planning a seasonal trip for the holidays, because this is a time where lots of families have a tradition of coming to Disneyland. And I get it, you're still probably going to sell these days out. You're still going to sell out the events no matter what, even if you open up more tickets closer to the event themselves. But people have to plan their trips, and I think it's unfortunate that they have to play this game, potentially, where they might suddenly open up another 500 tickets or what have you, kind of like they were doing with the After Hours Boo Bash. If you have the tickets to sell, then sell them. Let people know exactly what you have on hand for the sake of them being able to plan out their trips. It just makes a, I think, much better guest experience overall, rather than waiting to see what the demand is and then suddenly, oh, look, we have all of these additional spaces opening up. I think that goes a great distance in, consumer-based satisfaction. So, at any rate, there you have it from InsideTheMagic.net. Disney Marius Nights already selling out, and we are hearing that on the East Coast, the Christmas equivalent party out there is not doing so hot. They're still not selling out like they usually do for Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. They typically sell out many of those dates in advance. They're not doing so this year. So while the Boo Bash for Halloween out at Disney World, selling out like crazy, did an amazing job making sure that people were able to purchase those suckers right away, we are not seeing the same thing happen for the Christmas version of the After Hours Party at Walt Disney World and Magic Kingdom. Very curious as to why that might be. Perhaps it's the extreme pricing. Maybe it's finally caught up with them. I don't know, but we'll keep our eye on that and let you know what else is coming our way, and if Disney Marius Nights will, in fact, be opening up either additional dates or more opportunities to buy tickets for dates that were considered, quote, sold out. Once again, our thanks to InsideTheMagic.net for that story. So you got to tell me, are you surprised by the concept of these Marius Nights ultimately selling out so quickly? Are you somebody that thinks that these are worthwhile? Are you going yourself? And then in addition to that, back to the Plaza Point story, right? Back to the story regarding that new shop that is replacing PhotoPass on Main Street, USA. I want to know what you're thinking is going to replace the shop equivalent in California Adventure. So reminder, the Main Street Photo Supply store now being sort of redone as the Plaza Point all year round holiday establishment. What do you think is going into Kingswell Camera Shop at this point? I ask because they moved out of there as well, and that is right when you walk into California Adventure, to the right behind that fruit cart on Buena Vista Street. If you walk into the shops, that first sliding door, that is Kingswell Camera Shop, where PhotoPass used to be set up. We've been covering it on our Disneyland updates as of late, showing you that walls have gone up, curtains have gone up, but Disney has not announced what they anticipate coming into that space. So very interested to hear what you think might, number one, what might be moving in there, and number two, what you think that space ought to be used for. A little armchair imagineering is always fun. So share with us in the comments. Let us know what you think should be moving into the Kingswell Camera Shop space. We did see in the last Disneyland update video that we did earlier this week that the sign changed. They had a sign that basically directed everybody out to the Esplanade, to the new PhotoPass location, but then the sign disappeared, and then they put up a new sign on the wall. So they had a standalone sign, and then it moved to a wall sign, and now the wall sign says Kingswell Camera Shop is being enhanced. And they said that the Kingswell Camera Shop is, I mean, they made it sound like it's going to remain Kingswell Camera Shop, but we all know that that's not the case. So at any rate, let us know what you think ought to go into the Kingswell Camera Shop location at California Adventure. What should they do with that space? Should it be just an extension of retail? Should it be a little something more special? Very interested in hearing your perspective. Leave your comments. Let us know what's on your mind. Your perspective matters. This is all about you, your opinion, your Disney Parks experience. This is Disney News Talk Live.
Bowman, pass off bow line. Engine room, ahead 1/4. Engine room, ahead 3/4. Ledsman, sound off. Mark off. On one.
That's the ledsman calling out the depth marking so we can avoid running aground.
Mark Twain.
Mark Twain is not just the name of a riverboat or a great American author. It also means the water here is 2 fathoms deep. That means it's safe enough for us to proceed on our steam-powered journey along the rivers of America. On our trip, we'll visit the magnificent Columbia of the Great Northwest, the graceful Missouri of the windswept plains, and the rugged Rio Grande along the border of Texas and Mexico. I'll be sure to point out interesting sights along the way, and even tell you about a legend or two. We begin our trip right here on the mighty Mississippi, heading south and ending up down in New Orleans.
Disney News Talk Live asking what you think ought to happen when it comes to the Kingswell Camera Shop over at California Adventure now that we know a new year-round Christmas store is moving on into the Plaza Point, the former Main Street Photo Supply location. And then on top of that, any sort of Christmas-related notes that you have for us. After all, we just covered several Christmas stories back-to-back for you, including Disneyland's Marius Nights After Hours event. And then in addition to that, Candlelight is coming back, baby. We can't wait. We did have a comment here from Travis weighing in. He says, we're doing Marius Nights on the 16th for a special night during our honeymoon trip. Not crazy happy we spent another $300 plus for the event. Well, Travis, that is compromise in marriage. Congratulations and welcome to it. You're going to be doing a lot more of that in the near future, that's for sure. First and foremost, congratulations on getting married and congratulations on the honeymoon trip. I'm sure you will be very happy together and, going to Disney is a lot of people's honeymoons and a lot of people's bucket list trips and stuff like that. So being able to experience, I think, a special ticketed event, especially one as limited as this, only having a couple of dates to begin with, this might end up being something really spectacular. We just don't know. It doesn't sound on the surface to me. I think, we've talked about this before. Based on what they're saying is available, doesn't sound on the surface to me like something that I would plunk down money for. So they haven't hooked me. Then again, I'm local and I go often, but they haven't hooked me into wanting to pay that extra money to go experience it, just because it doesn't sound like there's a ton being offered outside of, some character dance parties and some character experiences that are, unique. So, if that's your thing, go for it. But yeah, I understand, spending that extra money for the special ticketed event. I do really hope that as they get closer to these events, they will announce more that will be added to them for the sake of everybody's, expenditures going into buying these tickets and making it well worth the trip. So let us know, ultimately after the event, please chime in. Share with us once again exactly how the overall night goes for you, what you think of Marius Nights, and whether or not you would do it again. I think that would be a great gauge as to whether or not Disney might even attempt doing Christmas parties at Disneyland again. Because remember, they've never done Christmas parties at Disneyland until now. So this is certainly a test that they are making a first attempt at. And if they don't hit it right, and if they don't have all the dates sold out, we might just see them pull back. However, the way it's trending, and based on the story that we shared with you, doesn't look like that's going to happen. Yep, because they're already selling out. But at least you're going on one of the nights that isn't sold out. Maybe you'll have an even quieter evening, and it'll be like Disneyland to yourself. How romantic for a honeymoon, that's for sure. Jay Pike says, I'm going to Marius, but a little nervous after the lack of celebrations for Walt Disney World 50th. I was trusting Disney because of how amazing the Oogie Boogie Bash was. So, again, we'll see. This is the first of its kind event, so I said a little bit earlier in today's broadcast that typically I like to experience things before I weigh in and bash them and, take them out to dry, just because I think it's more important to know what you're getting first. But at least on the surface, and at least in terms of promotion, just not feeling it with Marius Nights for me, and the upcharge just doesn't seem like something... even marketability-wise, is something that I would want to do. So I really am hoping that this ends up being an awesome party for everybody that does go, and hopefully it'll be one of those things where everybody has regret that they didn't go, and everybody's super shocked as to how great it ended up being. So Jay Pike, thank you for that. Tinker Shell says there's still no availability for November 16th, but I still can't bring myself to buy a ticket, just not feeling it. Yeah. I understand. I understand. It's again, I see what they're offering just on the front end, and it doesn't feel like something I can justify the cost for. So, certainly I think well-intentioned observation from Tinker Shell, and I align with you on that. So, thank you so much. And Kim says, I booked Marius in Walt Disney World. If they did find the bar, then crowds will be low. Yeah, I really am looking forward to hearing exactly what it's like out at Walt Disney World for their after hours holiday event. Not becoming the very merriest Christmas party like it used to be for years past, and they're just doing the after hours holiday offshoot of that. So much like it was for Halloween, right? They did the Boo Bash. The Boo Bash sold out, whereas this Christmas event, not so much. So we will see if nobody shows up to these after-hour holiday events that are located at Magic Kingdom for Christmas time. You might just luck out and have Magic Kingdom to yourself, Kim. Again, let us know if you are somebody that ends up walking away with more than what you bargained for, more than what you thought you were going to get. We definitely want to hear that feedback too. Maybe you will go into an environment that is just chock full of magic and merriment, and you'll explode with Christmas, with the spirit of Christmas. You'll explode. It'll be perfect for you for the season. But thank you, Kim, for weighing in and sharing your thoughts. All right, moving on over to Walt Disney World news now, and sharing with you all of what's going on when it comes to Genie Plus details there. Obviously, things are different because the parks are different. The experience is different overall in those necks of the woods. So we want to share with you exactly what you can expect when it comes to Walt Disney World and the new Genie Plus service out east. The following comes to us from touringplans.com. They write, ever since it was officially announced that it would be rolling out, the questions have been coming in fast and furious about Disney Genie, Disney Genie Plus, and individual attraction access options. The most common question was, when is it going to roll out? Today, that question has been answered. Disney Genie will debut on October the 19th. Disney Genie will be a complimentary service found in the My Disney Experience app that will let you create personalized itineraries that effortlessly map out an entire theme park day, inspired by the things you tell them that you love, and helping you to make the most of your park time. Disney Genie continues to update your itinerary from morning to night as the day changes, allowing you to remain spontaneous. The things that Disney Genie will be able to help you with are reduce times in line while keeping in mind your top picks, pace your day with experiences you'll enjoy and haven't already done yet, and build around your existing plans like dining reservations and park hopper preferences. Of course, with the launch of Disney Genie, it also means that guests will be able to also purchase Disney Genie Plus to utilize the Lightning Lane entrances. These are formerly the Fast Pass Plus entrances for those who are confused. Disney Genie Plus will allow you to either add on access to more than 40 attractions, or there will be certain attractions that you can add on individually. The individual access will be available at the highly demanded attractions. Attractions that will offer Disney Genie Plus access or individual attraction access include, at Magic Kingdom, individual Lightning Lane selections for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train and Space Mountain. Lightning Lane selections overall will range from Big Thunder Mountain Railroad to Haunted Mansion to Peter Pan's Flight to the Tomorrowland Speedway, and so much more. At Epcot, individual Lightning Lane selections will be Frozen Ever After and Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, while Disney Genie Plus Lightning Lane selections range from Disney and Pixar Short Film Festival to Mission Space Green and Orange to Soarin' to Test Track. Over at Hollywood Studios, individual Lightning Lane selections range from Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway and Star Wars Rise of the Resistance to the Disney Genie Lightning Lane selections going from Alien Swirling Saucers, Disney Junior Dance Party, all the way down to Slinky Dog Dash, and of course, the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, to name a few. Over at Disney's Animal Kingdom, individual Lightning Lane selections are Avatar Flight of Passage and Expedition Everest Legend of the Forbidden Mountain, whereas Disney Genie Plus Lightning Lane selections will range from Dinosaur to It's Tough to Be a Bug and Navi River Journey, as well as the animation experience. Purchasing Disney Genie Plus service will allow you the opportunity to select arrival windows for Lightning Lane entrances that are available at more than 40 attractions and entertainment across all 4 theme parks, one at a time throughout the day. Disney Genie Plus service will be available for $15 per guest per day. Guests will be able to purchase it before their visit as an add-on to a ticket or vacation package for the duration of their visit. You can also purchase it on the same day of your visit for a single-day use for existing ticket holders or annual pass holders in the My Disney Experience app. Guests who have purchased Disney Genie Plus service can begin to book reservations for their first experience via the My Disney Experience app, beginning at 7 a.m. on the day of their visit. Once you've ridden your initial selection or the arrival window has passed, you can make another selection using the app up to the park closing. But say you book a reservation and it's hours away. Well, you can book another reservation 120 minutes from the time of that booking. The app will indicate when you can book another reservation. And as mentioned, some of the most highly demanded attractions will offer Lightning Lane entry as a sort of a la carte purchase. This option will be available for all guests, no matter whether if you're already purchased your Disney Genie Plus or not, and it lets you choose a time to arrive at up to 2 attractions each day. They must be booked one at a time. Pricing and availability will vary by date, attraction, and park, and you will need to check the My Disney Experience app on the day of your visit for current prices and attraction availability. Can't wait to see that jump up and down based on the day and season. For example, they say the Lightning Lane entrance to Remy's Ratatouille Adventure will be $9 per person on October 19th and $11 per person on October the 23rd. Disney also shared that on both those dates, Lightning Lane entrance to Expedition Everest Legend of the Forbidden Mountain will be $7 per person. Over at Disney's Hollywood Studios, Star Wars Rise of the Resistance will be $15 per person. Throughout the year, prices may be lower on some days and higher on other days. Guests will be able to purchase individual attraction access via Disney Genie service in the My Disney Experience mobile app on the same day of their visit, and guests of a Disney Resort hotel and other select hotels will be able to make their first purchase starting at 7 a.m. on the day of their visit, and this option is available to Disney Resort hotel guests and guests of the Walt Disney World Swan and Dolphin hotels, as well as Shades of Green. If you aren't staying at a Disney Resort hotel, you can make your first purchase when the park opens. And as a heads up, Disney Genie will come at a later date for the Disneyland Resort. In fact, we know right now they are training Disneyland Resort cast members inside Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, the Opera House Theater, which is why it is closed at the moment. We've been noticing in the last couple weeks that the doors have been closed to Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. Wasn't due for a refurbishment or anything like that, but they are right now training cast members on all the things they should know about Disney Genie, Disney Genie Plus, because no doubt that will shake up the Disneyland Resort just like it is about to shake up the Walt Disney World Resort. So our many thanks to touringplans.com for that story. And yes, all of these attractions, all of these shows and entertainment that you are now able to access via the Genie Plus service and Lightning Lane, as well as the upcharge pricing, all starting October the 19th. And I think somebody in today's chat shared with us that looks like the Opera House is back open after all. So Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln has officially returned. So it looks like all the training is done at this point when it comes to the cast members and Genie Plus in the Disneyland park environment. So now we know that we are even closer for that announcement happening out at Disneyland. But now it's time to turn it on over to all of you when it comes to Genie Plus out at Walt Disney World. Talk back. Which Walt Disney World rides or park do you think would be worth buying Genie Plus for? Is there a park that's more worth it than others? Is there a set of attractions that you feel like might just be up your alley in terms of spending a little bit more for, maybe not wanting to wait for, and so therefore you're going to plunk down some cash? As always, very interested in hearing your perspective, especially when it comes to a place like Walt Disney World. It's massive, right? People plan their trips to Disney World way in advance as compared to Disneyland, which is often a much more casual type of drop-in. However, Walt Disney World is something that people like to plan out for months, if not years, and so we are very interested in hearing as to whether or not you think there's any sort of rides at Disney World or any sort of park in particular that you would decide to plunk down some cash for. The Genie Plus service is coming, whether we like it or not. It is on its way, and there's so much to consider on that next park trip. I know here in November, when I will be descending upon Walt Disney World, I might just try it out to see exactly if it makes my experience a little bit more enjoyable, or if it's something that I can do without and is just an add-on cash-wise that I don't need. But at any rate, let us know in the comment section exactly what you're thinking. Is there a ride or a park that's worth plunking down money for when it comes to Genie Plus? We move on to your comments here very shortly. Stick with us. Disney News Talk Live. Again, thanks so much for being a part of today's broadcast. It means a lot that you could tune in, whether you are with the live show or you are watching us after the fact. It is always a great blessing to know that you are finding value in whatever it is we are presenting. We do that specifically for you. We know that the Disney parks can be tough to navigate. We know that especially as things get even more complicated with things like Genie Plus, there is always a need for a helping hand, and so we greatly appreciate the opportunity to be able to serve you some information and to definitely help you digest what's going on. And of course, this show is dedicated to your opinions, your theme park experiences. We cover the news, but it's really about how you're feeling and exactly what you are encountering whenever you are booking something, going on a ride, speaking with a cast member. That is what this show is all about, your thoughts and your considerations when going into the Disney theme parks here domestically and around the world. So if you haven't already, leave your comments with us. Let us know what's on your mind, whether you're with the live broadcast or not. Sharing your comments and questions is always something that we celebrate and appreciate, no doubt. Kim said, when it comes to the Genie Plus service, I need a training class on Genie too. Good grief. Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way, Kim. I think there's a lot to definitely absorb when it comes to this Genie service, and a full breakdown of it even just sounds like too much. I know that even reading about it, it's like, my God, FastPass, which was a very simple concept, right? It was always amazing to me how even 20 years after the fact, people still didn't know how FastPass worked, and I thought, God, if that was too much, for the general public to catch on to, I don't know how anyone's going to really understand this unless you're a Disney diehard that, eats, sleeps, and breathes this stuff. This is a really complicated program, and there's so much to it. When you have to, build a diagram to help people understand what is offered and where and how, it can be overwhelming, right? There's a lot to know, and there's a lot to try and grasp, and I think about it all the time. Especially, like I said, having worked for Disney for a number of years, I know that this is something that I often said back during my time, where it's like, if you have to communicate something to the guest population, it needs to happen within a maximum of 3 steps. If you go beyond 3 steps, you've lost people. They're moving quickly. It's not that they don't have the capacity to retain the information, but they're moving quickly. They have their mind on other things. They're trying to enjoy a vacation. They're trying to understand, what's next for them and trying to make the most of their time. The last thing that they want is to have to deal with really complicated instructions or really overwhelming amounts of information. And when you have just on the surface here, like this complimentary guide that we posted on the screen, the complimentary Genie Plus grid as to what it offers for you, this is just the complimentary part on the top, and then there's the Genie Plus on the bottom, and then, of course, individual a la carte lightning lane entrances. So no doubt when you get your hands on the Genie Plus service, the app itself, there's going to be a lot to absorb, a lot to digest on that end too. So, I get it. It feels like you need a training class. I totally understand. And sometimes I feel the same way, put me through the training class too. It might be more helpful. And then moving along here, our friend Austin says, wait, so they're going to charge $15 for a 5-minute experience? Some people don't even make that in an hour. Yep. It's true. I mean, you certainly are able to go on more rides than just one for a 5-minute experience. But all of this in consideration, all of this as something that, if you're planning on plunking down a lot of money to go to Walt Disney World, you might want to consider, especially the more popular parks like Magic Kingdom, you might want to consider throwing money at the Genie Plus system just for the sake of saving you some time. Or, you can choose to spend your time, and time is money when you're on vacation, spend your time in line to wait for those most popular attractions. But I guarantee when you see people walking past you in the lightning lane to Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, and they don't have to wait, that's a very tempting thing, especially if it's your last day of a trip and you just want to get that last experience in. Oh, I can see it grating on some folks, but thank you, Austin, for chiming in. And Day Matthews says, here's a question. Those of us that still have paid tickets with MaxPass that are going to use our tickets, will they honor that and switch it to Genie Plus at no charge since we already paid extra? I haven't seen that anywhere in fine print, Matthew, so I don't know necessarily, but that's a great question and certainly something that I would hope Disney has taken into account. Like I said, I haven't seen it anywhere in writing. It might be out there, I just haven't come across it yet, but that seems like something they should probably comp, at least for the short term, as a consideration, because if you've already paid for it, and if they're not going to refund your money, then they definitely need to provide you that Genie Plus, at least from my service-minded perspective. So I appreciate you chiming in there. Lewis says, Bob Chapek is doing a great job, eye roll. Josh Tomorrow is the chairman of Parks and Resorts as well. I like to make mention of that. Every time we go Bob bashing around here, I understand he's the least likable of the Disney executives. I understand he's somebody that we all like to harp on, but it's also something worth remembering that as much as Bob Chapek, there he is in all of his glory, as much as Bob Chapek is an unlikable figure in the Disney parks realm, there is a man named Josh Tomorrow who's also responsible for the decisions being made, and no doubt with his persuasive ways could probably stand in the way of some of these decisions if he disagreed with them. But yeah, it's definitely a new Disney. We're going the route of everything's being much more upcharged, and I know that Bob Chapek, having most recently been, right, before CEO, most recently he was the Disney Parks chairman. And then when he moved, they filled that position with Josh here. So perhaps all of these decisions, all of these things were made under Chapek. I think the timeline matches up to indicate as such. So our friend Bob there, still doing great. Yep, as Lewis says, great job, Bob. Appreciate you sharing that. And then John says, the only way I'm using Genie Plus is if they add it or charge a one-time fee to add it to my Magic Key. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a one-time fee. If you mean like a one-time fee and you get to use it all the time, which I don't know if that's what you mean or not, but I know that that's something that is not going to be an option. They were saying a little bit earlier when we covered it for the Disneyland side that it's per park per day. So if you're somebody that is willing to cough up the cash each day of your trip, then that's something that you can take advantage of. Otherwise, you'll need to be standing in standby. And Jay Pike says, I heard from a cast member that the audio part of the Genie app is what he is excited for. He said it is like what you get at a museum. Sounds like a great addition. Yeah, that is cool. Yeah, I mean, I know that the plan was to ultimately have this thing answer everything for you and help you experience the parks in new ways and exciting ways. In addition to upcharging you for things, it was also going to be trying to create some, value-added aspects to it. So hopefully we will see when we get our hands on the Genie app and get to experience it firsthand exactly what it has to offer, and that would be pretty cool. So thanks, Jay Pike, for weighing in. All right, we're not done with Walt Disney World news. No, we've got some very exciting things going on, my friends. In fact, entertainment and shows and characters, well, they are coming back in unique style. The following comes to us from clickorlando.com. They write, it's showtime at Disney as the curtains open for hundreds of entertainment cast members revisiting roles from live entertainment experiences across all 4 parks, Walt Disney World said Tuesday. Some of the experiences include Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular, live musical entertainment, and meet and greet opportunities with popular Disney characters. Quote, Walt Disney World is proud to have returned more than 50,000 cast members to work. Now, more than 65,000 are working across the resort, and we are hiring hundreds more each week as we continue to open more resorts and guest locations, said Sean Slater, Senior Communications Manager of Disney Live Entertainment. Many of the experiences have been suspended or modified since the theme parks reopened following its closure due to the pandemic. Walt Disney World recently brought back some of the entertainment just in time for its 50th anniversary. On October the 1st, Disney's 50th anniversary celebration saw the return of certain performances. Crowds were delighted by the Let the Magic Begin show at Magic Kingdom's Cinderella Castle forecourt stage, a ragtime pianist tickling the ivories at Casey's Corner on Main Street, USA, and Epcot dancers and musicians weaving around the World Showcase to the beats of different countries. And next week, music returns to Disney's Animal Kingdom in Asia and in the streets of Harambe in Africa with Kora Tinga Tinga. On October the 14th, Yeehaw Bob Jackson returns to rock the roost with his wacky piano playing and singing at Disney's Port Orleans Riverside Resort. Early November, we're going to see Tam Tam drummers return to Disney's Animal Kingdom. November the 7th, Disney Movie Magic returns to Disney's Hollywood Studios with new scenes featuring Disney's epic adventure, Mulan. December 19th, the cast and crew of Indiana Jones' epic stunt spectacular bring back all the comedy and thrills of the action-packed show. In addition to some of the live entertainment returning, Walt Disney World said it will soon welcome back those magical meet and greets with Disney characters. Quote, "Although the environment is not right just yet for hugs and autographs, you'll soon be able to have individualized time with some of your favorite characters, getting to visit with them in a themed location and snap a photo or two," said Slater on the Disney Parks blog. Continuing by saying, "Look for the Disney princesses to return to Princess Fairy Tale Hall in Magic Kingdom Park. At Disney's Hollywood Studios, you'll soon find Minnie Mouse at Red Carpet Dreams and the stars of Disney Junior in the animation courtyard. At Magic Kingdom, Mickey Mouse will also be returning for photos in his iridescent looks at the Town Square Theater on Main Street, USA. Meet and greets will begin in November. Quote, "We're delighted to be welcoming back so much live entertainment and so many of our favorite entertainers all this fall, and looking forward to sharing news about even more additions very soon." Close quote. Once again, thank you, clickorlando.com, for that story. Thrilled to see so much entertainment returning. Thrilled to see that all of these shows are ramping up again. Character meet and greets are ramping up again. I know that it took a long time for Walt Disney World to get everything in order, especially with the unions and the different performer groups and stuff like that. We've covered it in Kingdom Report live form for you on our other news broadcast that typically takes the spot of our Saturday show. And so that is something that we have definitely been monitoring, watching as various shows have come back and why others haven't. You know, we've been questioning these things, but now we're seeing that, especially as the 50th anniversary has now happened, that they seem to be waiting for the 50th to really start ramping things up because they knew there'd be a crush of humanity. They knew that everybody would be arriving to experience Walt Disney World now. And so here we are on the other side, and they're still announcing that things are going to be coming back online as the year comes to a close, closer to January. So everything from your, various atmosphere entertainment at Animal Kingdom to your resort entertainment with Yeehaw Bob, which we covered a couple weeks ago, to your various shows, your big spectaculars like Disney Movie Magic coming in November to Hollywood Studios. That'll be awesome to have that back. And then Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular. Yeah, baby. Can't wait for our Indy to come back. That big side section of Hollywood Studios to have been vacant all this time. I think they used it as like a relaxation station for a while. Now having that back, that big sort of stadium show in the way that it's been set up. You know, it's such a hallmark of Hollywood Studios. It's such a piece of the experience. I remember watching the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular on Step by Step on TGIF back on ABC when I was a kid. And I think, if I recall correctly, Step by Step and then also Full House had scenes around it where Flash, the replacement for Cody on Step by Step for a season or two, he was trying to get to all of the do everything in Walt Disney World in one day or some sort of ridiculous challenge like that. And his plan was to, bring the title back home to America because apparently a Russian had completed everything. It was a different time. A Russian had completed everything in Walt Disney World in one day really, really fast. And he wanted to do the same thing. And I guess he came by Hollywood Studios and they said Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular was not going to be happening that day. And they made a big scene about it, that this kid was super disappointed and the family had to leave, that the kid was disappointed he couldn't see Indy, and Flash stopped his day. It was so magical. He stopped his day of trying to do everything in the park and filled in for Indiana Jones and did the whole running from the boulder scene and everything like that. And I remember seeing that on that show. And then, of course, Full House when I believe DJ was seeing Steve in all of the character capacities around the parks, and she saw him up on stage as Indy as well. So I remember seeing that as a kid and watching those shows and thinking, that show looks incredible. That show looks so epic. Oh my gosh, I can't wait one day to see it. And, eventually I made my way out to Walt Disney World and saw it firsthand. And like I said, it's such a part of Hollywood studios and the fabric of that park, and, kind of showing how movies are made. And it's, one of the last real holdouts of the original Hollywood studios, if you will. One of the last real holdouts of that different time, where the park was trying to be something else and trying to give you a glimpse as to how these epic things are created and made. And there's so few experiences like that nowadays at Hollywood studios that it's like hearkening back to the older times. I always appreciate it. But now it's time to turn it on over to you when it comes to entertainment at Walt Disney World, when it comes to the various shows and characters. What shows or entertainment have you missed the most? What are you still missing, by the way? If you're excited about something returning, please let us know that. But more importantly, there's plenty that still has not returned, and I would love to know what you are still missing from the Walt Disney World roster of shows and entertainment. Knowing that characters are coming back is so cool, knowing that we're going to get our character friends back in their themed settings, and it sounds like going to be able to go up to them again and be able to see them firsthand, not at a distance, not 15 feet away, not up on a platform with them behind us. It's going to be one-on-one interactions again. That's really cool. All steps back in the direction of normalcy. So let us know, what shows or entertainment have you missed out on the most when it comes to Walt Disney World and the theme parks of Walt Disney World, and any sort of resort stuff that you're missing out on too. I always liken it to the Walt Disney World hotels to being an extension of that overall theme park experience. There's lots of entertainment at the hotels like Yeehaw Bob. Is there anything that you're missing out on there as well? Please let us know. Your comments are coming up next. Disney News Talk Live. Again, thank you so much for being a part of the broadcast, tuning in, dropping us a like, a subscribe if you haven't already. It all means a ton to us as we continue to bring you the Disney Parks news from coast to coast and sharing with you all of the perspective, and more importantly, getting to share your perspective. That is what this show is all about. Was asking you just before the break about entertainment coming back to Walt Disney World, and are there any sort of shows or various character experiences or anything that might be entertainment related that you are still excited about. And of course, I shared my story about Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular and seeing that on various ABC TGIF shows as a kid. Tinker Shell chimes in saying, I loved Step by Step. Yeah, me too. There was just something about that show. It's a great format of a sitcom, and boy, do I miss those sitcoms, I tell you. Between that, Family Matters, Full House, and Fuller House when it came back. Yes, love that too. Thank you, Tinker Shell, for chiming in. Kim says, I'm so glad they are bringing so much back. They also need to bring back to help disperse crowds. Yes, absolutely, Kim. I think that's a main reason why they were holding out for the 50th. They knew there would be a major... probably a major dump of crowds, if you will. I don't know a better term to describe it, but a huge dump of crowds into the theme parks for the 50th anniversary. And I think that's what they were holding off for and making it the right sort of justification of, hey, let's allow so much more entertainment to come back because we're going to need it to entertain the crowds. Kim also says, looks like Fantasia, I think you mean Fantasmic, right, Kim? Fantasmic coming back would be Very cool indeed. It's something that we are all waiting for there at Disney's Hollywood Studios, while they have the water drained from their amphitheater as of right now. Very much looking forward to seeing Fantasmic come back. You know, they're also working on the Fantasmic stage at Disneyland, so it looks like at the same time they're working on both stages, on both projection platforms. We're covering it weekly for you in our Disneyland in-park updates, where we are now seeing lots of ongoing work happening on the platform. So can't wait to see both Fantasmic return to Disneyland as well as Disney's Hollywood Studios, rather. Tinkersell once again says, it's not entertainment, but I'd love to return to Walt Disney World when the resort boats return. I love having a resort hopping day. So those boats are there. I don't know if you mean necessarily a like the rental boats that you can grab, but the boats are still there. They can take you from resort to resort. So those do exist as of right now. And then, as I understand it, the rental boats just came back too at Walt Disney World at many of those properties that offer them. So that just happened, as a matter of fact, the rental ones, which is fantastic to hear. And Lewis says, I miss the Country Bear Jamboree at Disneyland. I still have a chance to see them at Walt Disney World, which I plan to see someday. Yeah, and you know, Country Bear Jamboree, fortunately, one of those shows that they didn't have to speak to a union to bring back at Disney World. In fact, it reopened with Disney World last year, so we get to party with the Country Bears a couple times a day if we want to. And it has certainly been a treasure of an attraction, a treasure of a show. It's so hokey, it's so cheesy, it's just the best, that's for sure. Well, my friends, that about wraps things up for us on this edition of Disney News Talk Live. I can't thank you enough. You mean the world to me. Anytime we get to do these broadcasts, anytime we get to hang out with you, it means an awful lot. And you know, if you know anybody else that might appreciate what we're doing here, if you know anybody else that might appreciate what it is that we are in fact creating, then please share the broadcast. Let people know that we exist. We just jumped over, looks like 12,000 when it comes to subscribers here on the channel, which is fantastic. You know, we're not even quite 2 years old yet, and I've been putting out content pretty regularly just to try and help everybody in their Disney parks experiences. You know, we're all about connecting you to more of what makes you happy. That is what we do here, and it means an awful lot anytime you tune in, anytime you contribute, anytime you like, share, or subscribe in what we're doing. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. It means the world to us. On behalf of everybody at the Kingdom Report, for Tyler Crouch, Katrina Manzone, and Master Garrett Hassel out at Walt Disney World, thank you for taking time out of your day to spend with us here on Disney News Talk Live. We'll see you next time.